What's going on, guys? We're breaking down UFC 301 today. Quick little recap from last weekend's card. We cashed for about 1.8 units on UFC Vegas 91. We hit on Alex Perez money line, David Onama money line, had a 0.1 unit on Victor Henry round 3, and we cashed a parlay closing out with Oros Medic money line. Did have a good bit of misses too. I fired, I think it was like 8, 9 all plus money plays last week, mostly props. Cashed the only 2 money lines we threw. But yeah, man, solid card, we'll take it. And then we did do 1.1 units on LFA last week as well. We went 2-0 there. It's a solid weekend, man. Did a little under 3 units, so let's keep that rolling into this card. First fight of the night is Kevin Borjas and Alessandro Costa. I do have a bet here on Borjas moneyline plus 120 for 1 unit. And honestly, I'll start on the Costa side. I mean, he has like some pretty decent pop for a flyweight. He's not the tallest guy. He's like a pretty stocky for flyweight. Has some good pop on those overhands. We saw that in the Erceg fight, like round 2. It wasn't the first few that hurt him. It was like probably the 6th or the 7th. Like Erceg does have a chin. We'll get to that later. But definitely has some pop on his shots. And then good calf kicks too. I mean, we saw that against Jimmy Flick. He was able to just completely landed at will. But overall, I mean, he's got like a solid high guard, but I don't think he doesn't really have the best volume. And overall, I don't think he is like that like technical. I mean, he in most part, I feel like he's bringing some shots out, and he just maintains that high guard and just tries to be defensive. I do think Borjas can land some pretty big shots here. So on the Borjas side, I think, you look at that Joshua Van performance, and you can look at like stats. Yeah, you got doubled up by Joshua Van. Doesn't really tell the whole story though. Round 1, Borjas outlanded Van, actually like hurt him at one point, landed some really good shots, carries, power in both hands, kind of sit down on that left hook. And he's a little wild too on the feet, but he definitely mixes it up a lot better, I think, than Costa, who is, like I said, it's mostly calf kicks and that overhand. And on the Borjas side, man, like I said, yeah, he looked really good round 1 against Van. Van made the proper adjustments, really started like punishing the body, landed a ton of good shots. But Borjas is tough, man. Like he still stayed in that fight. Even though they looked gassed, he closed it out really good the last minute of the fight. I don't know, man. I thought it was a really good showing from Kevin Borjas. And man, on the feet, the guy's game, man. He's really game, and you can see it. The guy has he has 1 decision win. The rest are all on knockouts, pretty much mostly coming early too. So I know on the Costa side, you can say he is like a high-level grappler, but we haven't seen him get a submission in like 5 years, and most of his like attempts are like flying arm bars. Watching tape back on him, man, some of them are crazy. He actually almost like lands on his head a couple times, but he does have a good arm bar. But if you look through Borjas, yes, he has been submitted once, but in that fight, he actually like ate a head kick and then gave up the rear naked choke. Like, I'm not sure, if he's fresh. I think his defensive BJJ, could be sneaky. He's not terrible. And then on the Costa side, like, one, he doesn't really like proactively wrestle that much. Like, we really haven't seen him at the UFC level in that much top time positions. Like, I wanted to pull it up, but I mean, even in the Erceg fight, he rushed. I saw it twice where he's kind of rushing to submissions and ended up losing position twice. And we saw him Borjas on Contender Series, man. I think Victor Diaz is a pretty solid grappler. And, Borjas can get taken down and lose some minutes there, but he does make up for it on the feet. He lands, I think he'll be landing the better shots here. I think the KO could be live, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get there at like plus, if it's like 225, maybe it's like plus 300 or so. But overall, guys, I do think Borjas can land the better shots here. He may get taken down, but I'm really not sure if Costa's BJJ is that high level. Like I said, man, we haven't seen a submission in 5 years, and I have seen the tape where he is, I don't know, he's going for flying arm bars, and yeah, that can work, but I don't know, man. I like Borjas' game. I think he can just win minutes on damage here, land the better shots, maybe find the knockout or win the decision. Next fight up is Ismael Bonfim versus Vince Pichel. I do have a bet here on Bonfim KO plus 215 for 0.45 units. I mean, I get it, guys. You can say that Vince Pichel has, shown good durability, only been knocked out once, and that was by a slam. But he really hasn't faced, like, the most elite level strikers. I mean, his last fight was 2 years ago against Mark Madsen. Before that, Austin Hubbard, Jim Miller, Roosevelt Roberts. I haven't feel like we've seen him in his, older ages against a deadly striker. And I think that Bonfim has decent speed gap, much more technical striking. I understand the grappling concerns for Bonfim. That's why I wouldn't touch the money line. But on the feet, I do think he is going to be a lot quicker, mixes it up well, works the body well. Obviously, we saw a flying knee versus McKinney. And then for Bonfim, too, I will say, if you actually look through, I get that Bonfim doesn't have, like, he has a lot of decision wins, but let's actually look at, those LFA wins and Contender Series wins. So 2 of his LFA wins, both guys have never been knocked out, still haven't. And then against Abasov on Contender Series, man, he hurt him a good bit. And Abasov's another guy, man, over a 30-fight career that has never been knocked out. So I do think it's a little, sometimes, yeah, he doesn't have the most knockouts on his record, but I will say against Benoit Saint Denis, the KO was priced at plus 175. So that's against BSD. And the KO price against Vince Pichel was plus 215. I had to take a stab on that. So not the most passionate take there. The guy's minus 500, but I do think he can find a knockout. Next fight up, we got Deanna Barbosa versus Ernesta. I know Ernesta had a really good Contender Series fight. I mean, actually, like, very entertaining, high volume, absolute scrap. But I don't think we see a fight on the feet here. I do think Barbosa can get this down at a pretty high clip. And if she does, I'm not really sure if Ernesta, if her defensive grappling is up to par. So I took a shot on Barbosa submission plus the opener was 375. So I got a quarter unit down on that. That line is plus 200 now on BetOnline. I would wait on that a little bit, see if you can get maybe, hopefully like plus 300 or so on when more books open up. But not a fight I got like heavily taped. Honestly, I just really knew them from their Contender Series fights and just bet it pre-tape. But I do think, I'm gonna look deeper into it before I would, possibly play a money line. But I think Barbosa, from first glance, is pretty live for the sub here. Next fight up, we got Jamie Mullarkey versus Mauricio Ruffy. I will say, this is, Ruffy, probably Ruffy spot, probably Ruffy knockout. But I don't really see any edge on minus 185, and the KO props like minus 140. Kind of gross. Overall, Mullarkey, I mean, we know about his chin now, but it is kind of crazy that this guy, I want to say Hasper KO was like plus 350, plus 400. And now we're paying absurd premiums here. I do think Ruffy has the power and the, capability to find the chin and knock him out here. I'm just not too bullish because, look, Mullarkey's skilled. He's skilled. There's a slight grappling upside. But you can't back him because of the chin. So probably Ruffy here. I don't think I get to any bets, honestly. Even the props, the round props are shit here. All right, next fight up, we got Jakar Klose versus Joaquim Silva. I do have a bet here. I bet on Jakar Klose. Initially, I had minus 170 money line for 1.5 units. I cashed that out and rebet it at minus 154 yesterday. Or was it 151? I think it was 154. Minus 154, 1.5 units on Jakar Klose money line. Honestly, guys, I don't really rate Neto BJJ. I think he, look, he's got some good power, and maybe he can find the chin here. We've seen Klose hurt, but you look at that Dariush fight a little bit further. I mean, he was having some really good moments before Dariush actually found the shot. So I do think Klose here, I think he's just a more skilled fighter overall. There may be sketchy moments, but I do think Silva, for the most part, I don't see him as like, I mean, watch the Clay Guida fight. Did he really do much to like separate that far from Clay Guida on like volume? I don't know how he looks 15 minutes against a guy like Jakar Klose, who is solid everywhere. I will say, Jakar, when he does get taken down, there is times where he gets his back up. That was kind of the worry with the Joe Selecki fight. But he obviously got a slam there. But overall, guys, I do think Klose has the skills here to land the better shots, win better minutes. I do worry, you know, Silva can always, you know, he's got good power. We saw him hurt Armin there. Is that round 2? But overall, I think Drakkar is just a more well-balanced MMA fighter who probably wins minutes here. And outside of the knockout, I do think Drakkar Klose does enough to win this fight. Like I said, 1.5 units on the -54 money line. Not the deepest breakdown there, man, but like I said, I just don't really rate Neto BJJ's skills. And I think he's KO or bust here. I mean, maybe an opportunistic submission, but I think Klose does enough here to get it done down the stretch with a finish, or most likely probably a decision. Next fight up is William Gomis versus Gene Silva. I do not have a bet on this one right now. Honestly, I want to do more tape on Gene Silva's defensive wrestling. I know everyone thinks of William Gomis as a point fighting like kickboxer, which he is 100%. But we have seen him have success also in the grappling. So I want to go deeper on Gene Silva. I've kind of been back and forth all week on this fight. I don't like backing guys like William Gomis. I don't like point fighting. I don't like clean 15 minutes, you know, can't make any mistakes. Like, Gene Silva is going to be the more dangerous fighter here. He may at times find issues with the footwork and the movement of Gomis on the back foot and all the kicks. I just, guys, like, I would need more than, like, you know, plus 125 on Gomis. I know he is 3-0 in the UFC, but, you know, you look at his wins, they're not the greatest, man. I mean, look, he's beat the guys that have been in front of him, but, you know, Jarno is short notice. Francis Marshall, I mean, hey, love him, but fellow New Jersey guy, but he's not, you know, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure if he is the highest level. Overall, guys, like I said, I'm still going to tape some more on Gene Silva just to get a more read on his takedown defense and his defensive grappling. But it's a fight I've been back and forth on. We'll see if we get a play on it, but just have to do more research. All right, guys, next fight up. We got, I got a bet here, man. I got Elvis Brener money line, plus 215. We got Miktabek Orolbai versus Elvis Brener. I'm excited for this one. And Orolbai looks really good, man. Looks really good. I'll start there because, like, I'm fading him here. But Orolbai, I think, will have a ton of success in the UFC. He probably will, like, be a problem. He has a ton. He's great cardio. Relentless wrestling, man. Great chain wrestling, good top pressure. His striking is, it seems solid. He's got power, definitely. Good right hand. Defensively striking, I still think there is some, you know, some room for improvements there. I'll be honest. I saw openings in that, what was that Brazilian he fought in LFA? Yeah, Glaucio Lazario. That was a, so Orolbai, round 1 in that fight, I think he wanted to test his striking, just show his skills as well. And he went the first 5 minutes with the Brazilian there, Lazario. And it was competitive, man, 25-22 for Orolbai. But I'll be honest, man, he wasn't really separating from like a 10-10, 500 level, lower level, like LFA guy. And then we look at Jalen Fuller performance. I mean, hey, you know, it's a win, but Jalen Fuller is not the greatest defensive wrestler. He really had no answers there. Hayward Charles, wish Bob Ross, actually don't think highly of him at all. Pretty low level guy. And then the Irish Metis performance, it's impressive, but, you know, not trying to take away from it, but even Medic mentioned, you know, he wasn't taking his, he was fighting a kickboxer there, and he wasn't really repping his grappling, his defensive wrestling. And we saw against Jalen Turner, it only took him, you know, 1 takedown as well to submit him. So I do think it's an impressive performance up at 170 on your UFC debut on short notice. But he's minus 270 here. So for me to get there, I have to be really confident in his skills, which I am. Yeah, I am. I do think Orolbai is going to set. He's going to be great in the UFC. But has he really fought a elite BJJ bottom player? And, like, I don't know if he has. I know people don't think of Brener as, like, BJJ guy. All his, like, wins pre-UFC are submissions, man. A lot of guard subs. Arm bars. He has a triangle. You know, guys, I will say this. Elvis Brener, he has shown major improvements when he's gone to the UFC level. He's on some really good subs. We're now seeing him find knockouts. I think Orolbai gets him down at a pretty high clip. His wrestling's really good, man, and he's relentless with it. Like, he'll keep chain wrestling. People, you can get up on him. I don't know if his control was, like, elite. But what I'm getting at, guys, I haven't seen Orolbai against high-level BJJ players, and he's not really advancing positions much. So, you know, if his, you know, game plan here is just rinse and repeat takedowns, top pressure, I do think he will land some good ground and pound on Brener, but I think there may be openings maybe for a triangle. I think Brener, you know, he's got good reversals. I've seen him use Kimuras to sweep before. And even Brenner's takedown defense, like I said, I do think Orolbai gets him down. Physicality goes to Orolbai, pretty big, strong motherfucker. But I think Brenner's takedown defense has looked good. I have seen him defend some deep entries. On the feet, Brener has showed that he is a very good striker, man. He's hittable. Like, he can get hit. We've seen him hurt, but he faces, I've seen him face adversity and come back really strong. And guys, like, I'm not sold on Orolbai minus 270. Personally, I line this fight, you know, closer to like minus 175. It's just, I think he could be really good, but I have enough questions on, you know, what does it look like if he can't get wrestling going, which he probably does, okay? But what does he look like extended on the feet? I don't know. And what does he look like, you know, his defensive submission game from guys on the bottom? Like, I know his offensive, you know, submissions are good, but there's just there's enough unknowns on Orolbai here to be concerned about laying a, you know, a near 75% implied. I'm taking a shot on Brener, half unit, plus 215. You know, if he loses, man. I'll take that L, but he's a guy that if you've been betting him at the UFC like level, man, he's been a really profitable guy, probably over like 500, 1,000% ROI on Elvis Brener if you've been betting him consistently. And we're getting a good price here, and like I said, I got questions on Orolbai. I think he's really good, but I'll take the shot here in the dog. I do think Brener, we'll see what submission props open up at. BetOnline opened the props here for like a minute and then immediately closed it. I don't know if they didn't like their pricing. I didn't get anything. I missed it, but I do like Elvis Brener money line here. Up, we got Jack Shore and Ernesta and Brito. So this is my biggest bet of the card. Not of the year, but of the card. We got Ernesta and Brito, I got 3 units in total. So we got 1.4 on that parlay with Lucindo. And then I bet Ernesta and Brito minus 160, 1.6 units there as well, money line. So overall, guys, I think, look, man, I think Jack Shore is like a pretty all-around, just good MMA fighter, man. He's got a good jab, good wrestling. You know, we've seen his BJJ. It works. But everything I've seen is at bantamweight. And most of it, when you look at actually who he's been fighting, I mean, he hasn't really, like, Jack Shore, who's Jack Shore's best win? Timur Valiev, short notice? Like, Marwan Amirkhani, who found success in, like, round 1 and was able to, you know, get Jack down, control him there. Hunter Azure was a split decision, close fight. Aaron Phillips, like, I really am not sold on, you know, Jack Shore at this weight class at 145. Brito is a massive featherweight, man. I think the physicality here is Brito's going to have more power on the feet. There's a decent, like, even if Shore can offensively wrestle, Brito can catch him, you know, on the way in. He's got nasty front chokes. He's got really high-level back takes. I think he's a lot stronger here. Like, along the cage, man, I think Brito can, you know, muscle him up, slam him down, find a submission. We saw how quick he locked that one against JSP. And I don't think Shore, like, I don't think he's at the right weight class, man. I don't think he is a 145er. And now you're going up against one of the more, like, the physicality-driven fighters at this weight class. Brito's going to have the better hardware. It's going to be more dangerous on the mat. I mean, I'm just trying to find a path for Shore here. I think it's, you know, survive early, jab him up down the stretch, working his wrestling and like win minutes. And that just seems like it's a very daunting task. I don't know, man. I feel like Brito should be minus 225, 240 here. You know, I think he's near 70%. That's where I cap this fight. I think he can do it. I think he can knock him out. But I played the submission as well. So I have, like I said, 3 units on Brito moneyline. And then I have a half unit on Brito submission plus 500. He opened at -1. He opened at Pick'em for ITD. And they opened Shore submission plus 500 and Brito submission plus 500. And I don't get that. How is Brito not the way more likely person to get the submission here? You know, I didn't even talk about the Ricky Simone performance, but, you know, like, I think if Ricky Simone is hurting you, club and subbing you, I think that's also a pretty live outcome for Ernesta Brito, who, man, I don't know, man, he's a little more dangerous than Ricky Simone, even though, yeah, all credit to Ricky Simone too. Great performance there. Is actually at that fight in Long Island. Guys, I don't think this is the right weight class for sure. I think he's going to move down after this. I think he gets finished brutally here. And I'm having a hard time seeing his path. And maybe I'm like too confident here. I'm like, what am I missing? Like Brito went down to like minus 140 earlier. I almost like hit with more. And I'm like, let me just pass. I got enough down on it. But yeah, man, I really like Ernesta Brito here. I think he gets it done. Give me the submission. The knockout's probably more live, but when you're pricing it, it was like plus 160 KO, plus 500, not a plus 500 submission. I had to play that number. So yeah, guys, give me Ernesta Brito money line. 3 units in total on the money line, half unit on the submission, plus 500. All right, guys. Next up, we got KO Borralho versus Paul Craig. Do have a bet here as well. We're betting KO Borralho by knockout in this one. Got it at plus 285.2 units. And then I played round 3 KO plus 1,500 for 0.2 units as well. I have been betting KO Borralho late props a lot, man. I got the Olin Jacek submission round 2. I played that round 2-3 submission. Didn't get the Abu Magomedov round 3 finish. I thought we had it there. Almost knocked him out. And his round 3 decision, I've like played that as well previously. I typically play him as either a late finisher or as we've seen, you know, decisions. A lot of decisions at the UFC level. But it's Paul Craig, though. So I do think, you know, styles make fights. And you got one guy that is reliant on, you know, being on the mat and getting you into a triangle. You know, it's just not high percentage. I think Borralho has a path here where if he doesn't want to wrestle, I think he can keep this standing and knock him out. That may come early. Okay, if Borralho doesn't wrestle, I think he can knock him out in round 1. However, if, you know, we never know, man, Brazilians, you never know. I know it's fighting nerds, but we'll see about game plan. If he does offensively wrestle, though, I don't know if he finishes Craig early. And that's why I'm looking at it like, this guy not one to finish. He's not knocking people out in round 1. He's not submitting everyone in round 1. It's been a lot of decisions, a lot of attritional stuff sometimes. He's explosive with his striking. It's not the highest volume. You know, those big kicks up the middle. Like, it's a powerful, dynamic guy. But if he does offensively grapple here, I think this can extend. We saw Brendan Allen just finish Paul Craig in 3rd. You know, that was a submission, but the KO, you know, is live there as well, especially when Paul Craig extends. So I wouldn't play his money line, man, but I think the KO is value. I just feel like, yes, he could submit him, but ground and pound knockouts there. He can knock him out on the feet. Yeah, man, I like Borralho here to get it done inside the distance regardless. Next up, guys, we got Ihor Pereira versus Michel Pereira. Another one of these chalk favorites where I'm just taking a stab on props. So I bet Michel Pereira submission plus 400. Not like my most passionate take in the world, man, but I think both outcomes are live. I think Pereira can actually surprisingly take somewhat of a beating. I mean, I know we've seen him knocked out, but he usually takes some good shots. We saw Michel Pereira, you know, he should have just, you know, knocked out Olin Jacek, but he did go for that submission as well. I guess it's another one, guys. If Michel Pereira is minus 300 inside the distance, one outcome is priced at Pick'em, and like the other is priced at plus 400. I'm going to take a stab on it. I think both are live. There is a clear path for if Michel Pereira wanted to actively wrestle Pereira and get a submission that way. I think that's live. I think he's going to put on a show here, probably, tries to, knock him out. But if he doesn't find success in the knockout, he may then, work towards submission or always a club and sub. So I think it's a live outcome at plus 400. I'll take a stab on that. Not the most passionate take. We put was it quarter unit on that Michel Pereira submission there. All right, guys, next up, we got Vitor Petrino versus Anthony Smith. Right now, no bet here for me. I don't think I'm going to be betting it at all, to be honest. I mean, Petrino should win it. I just don't know. I mean, it's probably knockout, but it's near pick'em, and it's like I don't love betting Petrino KO at near pick'em, man. I don't know. Pedro, it was a good performance. I mean, he knocked out Modestus Bukauskas, and Taj Drakaus is a decision. Prachnio submission. I don't know, man. I just feel like plus 110. I guess that's probably the best angle here. I just wouldn't be shocked if Anthony Smith survives towards a decision. So over 1.5 maybe. What's it at? What's over 1.5? Yeah, minus 200. Yeah, opened closer to like 60%, but someone steamed it. Yeah, man, I'm passing on this fight. I think. Yeah, man, I think Petrino has all the skills to get it done, but at the end of the day, minus 600 light heavyweight against Anthony Smith just feels a little wide. I feel like Ankalaev was honestly a lesser favorite. Yeah, he definitely was, man. Okay, same price. So you're paying the same price as Ankalaev and Vitor Petrino versus Anthony Smith. So probably not an edge there. All right, guys, next fight we got the co-main event. Jose Aldo and Jonathan Martinez. This is a fight that I want to do more tape, more due diligence, give it more thought. But, man, I am considering Jose Aldo here. I get it. It's probably not it's probably negative EV betting guys coming off retirements at the age of 37 or older and lower weight classes. Probably not the the greatest proposition when you look at like trends, you're betting guys doing that. However, man, stylistically, okay, if we remove the whole, Aldo retiring, his age, which obviously, yes, it's part of this fight. That's why the line's at where it's at. But I feel like stylistically, this is the worst matchup for Jonathan Martinez outside of like a elite wrestler. Like I think an elite wrestler give him issues, but in a striking fight, I think Jose Aldo is the most capable fighter to deal with the kicking game of Jonathan Martinez. And I don't think this is a hot take, man. Watch the Pedro Munoz fight. He checks pretty much every single kick, man. Pretty much. I mean, it is so clean. He is, man, like, trying to beat Jose Aldo at his own game. And I know he's not kicking offensively as much, but Jonathan Martinez has had so much success in the UFC that is set up with his calf kick. Okay, once he starts landing that calf kick, then he starts working the body roundhouse. So he starts working the head kick. And like his kicks to the body and the head are just as fast too. I'm not discrediting that. But I feel like a lot of his game, it's not set up with hands. It is set up with that calf kick. And, obviously Pedro Munoz is not a southpaw. He's orthodox. And Martinez is going to be southpaw here. I still think Aldo can check a lot of the kicks. Okay, so if Martinez is not, debilitating his opponent's leg, what would be the style to beat them? It's a boxer. And this is why I was like, the Yanez fight was really tough for me to get to. Because I'm like, I know Yanez does not have an answer for the kicks, but someone who could crowd Martinez, who can get in his face, disrespect the power that he has with his hands because he doesn't have much with his hands. Like if you get in boxing range with him, you get him against like the cage. I think I've seen it. People have had success against Jonathan Martinez. So I think Aldo can check the kicks and has the boxing, like the better boxing here, man. He is a better boxer. He has the cleaner hands, the more power of the two. And I don't think there's a speed gap with the hands either. So I'm having a hard time outside of this retirement getting to Jonathan Martinez over 60% here, or even at 60%. Like, maybe pick him. This is 2 years ago. It's probably minus 180 Jose Aldo. Because if you look back, I bet Merab Dvalishvili against Jose Aldo. Was that what card was that? That was that's a head kick knockout over Usman. Yeah, that was Leon Usman at elevation. So it was a crazy elevation. It was like 8,000 or some shit, 7,000. Facing Merab. It's a tough matchup, man. It's a tough matchup. And Merab I played like minus 120 there. And it was hard for me to get there, man, because at the time, it's like Jose Aldo was still like the fucking GOAT, bro, of like bantamweight, like, and featherweight. Like, he still was like, at the time, like one of the most respected, highly thought of fighters like in the UFC, like elite. And we didn't really see like a heavy fall from grace. Like, yeah, lose to Max Holloway, you lose to Petr Yan. It's not like he has any bad losses. And I don't know, man, the more I just think about this fight, it's like if he's 75, 85% of himself, what he was a year and a half, or probably a year, almost 2 years, a year and 3/4 was that card. I think Aldo has all the tools here. So I'm probably gonna be playing Jose Aldo one last time, man. Give me the King of Rio in Rio. Honestly, I thought he would be like a very popular dog this week because it's Jose Aldo, but I know obviously some sharp money, big money must have came in on Martinez to drive this price change. And I get the takes, man. Like, you guys mentioned the first thing I started this off with, man. Like, I want to bet Aldo, but betting 37-year-olds at bantamweight coming off retirements is probably not the best, EV betting strategy. But, man, I like Aldo here. All right, guys, finally we got the main event. Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Erceg. So, this is a tough fight, man. I think it's a really tough fight to cap. Erceg plus 205, plus 210, plus 200, tempting. It's flyweight, extra volatility in there. I don't know, though. I feel like right now, Pantoja minus 185, Erceg plus 160. You can't play Erceg plus 160, I don't think, here. Overall, guys, Pantoja, you can claim he's getting older. I mean, he turned 34, was it 2 weeks ago? I mean, like, he just turned 34. So we're not at this, like, 35 curse or, like, still. And his performances as of recent have been good. I mean, Brandon Royval, stylistically, was probably an easier matchup. But before that, man, was him winning the belt over Brandon Moreno. So I'm not sold on, like, Pantoja steep decline. I mean, I don't think anyone's narrative is that, but I'm not too concerned about his age. There's been moments where Pantoja has been clipped on the feet. We've seen him gas out and then just push through. I don't know. Like, I get the angles for Erceg here. So on the Erceg side, I'm still going back. I want to watch. So far, I've watched all of Erceg's UFC fights. Then I watched not all of his internal MMA fights, everything to Paul Loga. So I've watched about 8 fights of Steve Erceg. And what I'm trying to find is just more tape on his defensive grappling. That's what this fight comes down to. I mean, if you can't be confident that... I mean, look, guys, I think Erceg's submission, same as I mentioned earlier with like Orolbai, is, yes, I can see that their submission grappling is very good. But I don't know. I'm going to keep going back, man. Like, I watched Shannon Ross, I watched Paul Loga, I watched Ihor, and then I watched his like UFC ones. I'm going to keep going back on Erceg. I just want to see, what's it look like? Does he get his back taken? What does it look like if he faces adversity on the ground? Defending submission attempts from guard, from back. I just want to see him in these positions before I be confident. Because at the end of the day, man, we've seen Erceg in 3 UFC fights. That's it. And, like, David Dvorak wins round 1. And the thing with Erceg too, guys, like before I go through the fight-by-fight UFC level, he's got really, really good boxing, man. Love his combinations, really long, good right hand. Doesn't move his head much. That's a problem. Like he relies on his chin. He's got a really good one. But his head, he gets hit, man. He gets hit, but he's sharp, man. I've seen him drop a lot of people with that right hand, man. He drops you with that right hand, and then he'll hop on the guillotine. He's slick, man. He's really slick. And I do think Erceg has all the skills here, from what I've seen on tape, to possibly like challenge and, you know, beat Pantoja. I just I don't know. Like, guys, Pantoja is elite, man. Is elite when it comes to BJJ. Just go through some of the guys he's, you know, submitted throughout his career. I do think I just need to see more from Erceg before I could back him here at plus 160. So if this line gets to minus 150 Pantoja, I'll play it. But right for now, man, I'm just passing, you know. That's it, guys. That's my full card breakdown. I appreciate you guys all. Please like, subscribe, comment your favorite picks this weekend. Yeah, free Discord is in the link in the description. Let's make some money this weekend.